This is another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD, a podcast about the passionate people who have a heart for students. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Bank and Trust. Welcome back to another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. I'm your host, Jennifer Hines, and joining us today is Tyler Legacy High School student Fabiola Caraballo. And tell us a little bit about yourself, because you have now been on Broadway, and that is unbelievable. I am so impressed as a former wannabe actress myself. Oh. I'm loving this. So tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with acting and musicals and all the things.
Oh, well, it all began when I immigrated to this country in 2013.
Mm-hmm. From Venezuela.
From Venezuela, which is where I was born. My heart is fully devoted to it. And my mom got a job by the grace of God, and we have been living here ever since. She started me out in acting classes at Tyler Civic.
Yeah.
Tyler Civic
Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're conservatory classes.
Yeah, they're conservatory.
And so that's how I started acting. And I've always been singing all my life. My mom sang in her church, and
you kind of grew up around it, sounds
did.
like.
I have a very musical family. My dad plays plenty of instruments. And so growing up with music and starting off with acting, it kind of merged together.
Yeah.
And, well, I started to learn. I started to learn what things were. Things existed.
Yeah.
And I think the first musical that I, remember vividly being in was Shrek Junior, the musical, at Tyler Civic Theater.
Very
at
cool.
the summer camps they did, and I was Donkey.
Oh,
yes,
you were the donkey.
I was the donkey.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that is the greatest memory, and I think that's my core memory starting off theater. That's just how I knew. I met my people.
Yeah.
And I met my passion.
And tell me a little bit about what other plays you've been in, because I know you've done several school plays, and we can kind of work up to Broadway.
Yeah. Well, I started off at Moore as well. I did Mary Poppins Jr. and Annie Jr. musicals. Then at Tyler Civic, I was in Shrek. I was in Matilda, where I played Matilda.
Oh, fun.
I have also been in their production of Beauty and the Beast. And I was Chip. That was such an amazing experience.
Oh, that would have been neat.
I was also in SpongeBob a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah. This is so fun.
It kind of all runs together when you've been in so many. And then you've been in some at Tyler Legacy as well.
Yeah, Tyler Legacy. My freshman year, was Mamma Mia. Then I was in Little Shop of Horrors, which was that same year. And then I was in Hairspray. And now I am in Something Rotten.
Okay,
which is our new production.
Exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, tell me a little bit about how you went from this all the way to Broadway, because it kind of had to go through the Jimmy Awards, which is like the Broadway Tonys. Kind of explain all of that, because that's a whole other journey in and of itself.
Okay, so let's start. So I got casted as Motormouth Maybelle in Hairspray the musical at Legacy. So if you've seen the movie, that's Queen Latifah. That's her character.
Okay.
And so I got nominated by Broadway Dallas for that role.
Great.
And they are in charge of touring Broadway. So at the Music Hall in Fair Park in Dallas, that's where so many Broadway shows come. And so
the Dallas Summer Musicals are there.
And so they're in charge of the High School Musical Theater Awards.
Wonderful.
And so I got nominated for a lead performing role, right?
Wonderful.
And so 13 other female actresses around the area of North Texas were nominated for that same role.
Very cool.
For that same award for roles that they did at their schools.
Right.
And so there was a day of adjudication where we all sang 2 songs, and so I sang mine, everybody sang theirs. And I got selected out of those other 13 girls. Wow. And I felt so blessed.
Wow.
The moment on the stage at the Musical Theater Awards at the Music Hall in Fair Park. It was a whole night, and my name got called, and I was not expecting it to get called at all.
No.
And so if there ever was a video, you could see me just freezing.
You're like, what?
And being like, no, can you?
For the first time, are you speechless?
Can you say that again, please? And so I just walked up there, And I received my award, and then my whole other journey began.
Because that meant you moved on.
Oh gosh, about 2 weeks later, I flew to New York, and we stayed and rehearsed at Juilliard.
Wow.
The Juilliard School of Music. That was a beautiful, beautiful campus, beautiful city.
Beautiful.
I've always wanted to go to New York.
Yes.
And so it was a whole week. And so we spent that whole week from 8 in the morning to 8 at night rehearsing for, it was
12-hour days for a whole week.
It was long, but we got breaks in between. We got great lunches.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. That was fabulous. And so there was just amazing people.
Yeah.
There were 95 other nominees from
around the country?
the whole country.
Oh, wow. So what was it that y'all were working on?
So for those 95, they split us up into 3 groups. And so each of those 3 groups performed different numbers. So one group was a tribute group to honor Shakespeare and his works. And then the other one was a tribute to touring Broadway. So it was songs that included the name of cities like Santa Fe or Oklahoma or New York, or whatever.
Yes.
So it was just a bunch of like a medley of songs, and it was just so fun, so electric. And so the group that I was in was the character medley.
Oh.
And so we had the opportunity to bring our character back. I had to bring my costume from school. I had to pack it in my bag, just in case they selected me for that group.
Yes.
And so it was so complicated. There were 4 different character medleys, because there's about 30 people selected to be a character in this whole scenario. And so I may have been in a group with about like 6 or 7 other people. And so we had our medley, and I got to bring back Motormouth on the Broadway stage, at the Minskoff stage, which is where The Lion King is currently being performed.
Wow, I've been there. That is a wonderful theater.
It is gorgeous.
It is. It's
incredible.
Fabulous. Wow.
It has a whole like turntable. It has
Yep.
a elevator and
You got to see all the bells and whistles behind the scenes, the whole thing. But I understand it, not only were you getting all of this, but you were also learning about, the importance of, taking care of your body and your voices and your mind, and like lots of training that actresses need. Because a lot of people out there don't realize what all goes into it and how much you have to prepare and how much you have to take care of yourself. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, during the rehearsal, they definitely emphasized taking care of your voice a lot. I had never actually been taught until I was at rehearsals for the Jimmys that you need a mark during rehearsal. Don't sing every song full out during rehearsal, because it's rehearsal.
Right.
No one needs to hear you until you're on the stage. They know what you can do.
Right. They know you can do it already.
Better take care of yourself now, so then you can give it your all on stage. So that definitely, long days, so emphasis on getting your sleep.
Yes.
You had to get your stuff.
Yes.
Get out of rehearsal, take a shower, and dip.
Yep.
So that's very, very important. Drink a lot of water. They said, we have tea stations everywhere. Get yourself hydrated. Very, very important. And so it's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the coaches, because obviously you had people that were there to support you and do choreography and to help you with the voice and acting coaching and all of that.
Yeah. Well, we had our music director, Jeffrey Coe. I love Jeffrey. He was so fast-paced and efficient with his rehearsals. It's like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. I'm a very musical person. I'm theoretically musical. I play the violin in my school's orchestra. And I've grown up with music, and just seeing the way that he tackled this during rehearsals, it was incredible. I felt like it was a military environment, and very similar to the way that choreography was established as well. Our choreographer was Keisha Lama, and I think she's the one that made the greatest impact on me.
How was that?
She was very strict, but she was also kind. She reminded us of how we inspired her, She said,
wow.
"You may think that I inspire you. You're our greatest inspiration." She said, "Looking at you, you are the future.
You're the next generation.
Of
Yeah.
what we love to do. You're keeping our love alive, so thank you." She would constantly remind us of that, and I think that's what made me love her even more. And so I love the way that she introduced such a very straightforward instruction
Right.
in her, and she got stuff done.
And feedback.
She got stuff done. She told you, you do it, and you do it, because that's what it's going to be.
What would you say your biggest takeaway of this entire experience has been for you?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
I mean, who knew when you moved here that one day you'd end up being able to be on Broadway and do this?
Absolutely no one. So it's thinking about me as like a 5-year-old and thinking of me now, you would have never imagined. And it all comes down to hard work.
It does.
And passion. And that's honestly what I think got me here.
Yeah, you've got to have both. You can have passion, but if you don't have the hard work and determination, you're not getting anywhere with your passion. Same with the other as well. Looking forward, what do you see in your future as you look to acting beyond high school and through the rest of your high school career and all of that?
I would definitely love to go to college for musical theater and become a working actress. I would love to be in the musical theater industry, in the theater industry, because they're
and specifically musical theater, because television is a whole nother thing that most people don't realize, that that's a whole nother set of skills versus musical theater.
It is very different, but you got to start somewhere, and you got to broaden your horizon. So if I can start here, who says I can't go the other way?
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a long life to live, and so I'm willing to live it.
Any thoughts about where you might want to go to college or even visit? Or, I mean, did you fall in love with Juilliard? Or, I mean, are you dead set on going there? Are you thinking about some other places?
Yeah. Well, I'm a junior, so, I've got time, but I kind of don't have time. So I really need to start thinking.
Yeah. It's time to start researching some of the different programs and what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, I know that Michigan State has an amazing musical theater program. So does Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. Juilliard does as well. Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah, you're going to have to get some warmer clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything you just mentioned is very north of here, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going up there.
That'll be fun. Oh my goodness, I love that. Well, musical theater isn't your only interest, though. You are not one-dimensional.
No.
Tell us a little bit about some of your other interests, whether it's sports or fine arts or academics. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm very serious in school. My mom has always instilled a culture of you get your job done, and you have a job, and it is to do your work and go to school. Get an education, because that is priceless. And so that's what I do. I work hard every day at school. I love school. I actually do. I love to learn, which is great. It's a blessing to me. I play this was my last year playing soccer, and it is heartbreaking, but I have been playing soccer since I was about 6 or 7.
Okay.
A little bitty baby. I've always loved playing that sport. I loved watching it, and it's always going to be a part of my heart. But yeah, sometimes there's some decisions that you need to make in life, and this was one of them.
What's going to take the priority? Yeah, and you can only do so much. And if you're good at time management, you realize that you can't do all of it at once, for sure.
No, and in middle school, I was in volleyball and in basketball and in all these things. And my mom is like, you gotta pick.
Yeah, we can't just keep doing all this.
Yeah.
I have a middle schooler, trust me, I know. I'm like, we gotta stop at something. You can't do everything. I was like,
But I am also, as I mentioned, I am in my school's chamber orchestra. I play the violin. I am also in East Texas Youth Orchestra, which I love. I love playing my instrument. I love discovering new music, new techniques. It's just a world that is it has so much depth, and I love to learn. I'm always willing to learn, and I'm willing to push myself. That's what I love about studying music as well. It's a beautiful art. that I don't want to give up anytime soon.
Oh, I totally understand. And to me, one of the funniest things is you can play one of the most difficult pieces and make it look so easy, or then you can play a super easy piece and people don't realize even the difference, because if you're a really good musician, it just looks effortless no matter which one it is, and they don't even realize the difficulty of some of it sometimes.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you would like the listeners to remember about our conversation today, or any advice that you might want to pass on to somebody that wants to follow a similar path as you?
Well, definitely don't give up. Don't give up. You may think, oh, it's going to be so hard, but you don't know that. Don't quit beforehand until you know what you're dealing with. And once you see what you're dealing with, look inside you and see if there's an actual will to go through.
Yeah.
If there is a will to go through, follow it, because that's going to be the right decision. And also, if you're doing something, know what you're doing it for. Know who you're doing it for. If it's for your mom, for you.
Yeah.
To me, it's definitely for my family, for my friends, for my country. I definitely did use this experience to represent my country. And even though it's got its ups and downs, there's a beauty to it. And I'm here to make you see that. So know what
and don't be afraid to try, because you never know.
Afraid.
Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try, because then you're going to find what it is that you're passionate about, or what you're good at, or what your heart is pulling you towards.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Fabiola. We appreciate you having on this edition of Talks with Tyler ISD. And thank you so much to our listeners out there. Be sure to check out this and all of our other Talks with Tyler ISD episodes. Remember, you can always download our app, or you can always get all things Tyler ISD with our district newsletter at get.tylerisd.news.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Texas Bank and Trust. Subscribe to Talks with Tyler ISD on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Please share this episode with your friends and family.